As the world falls away and I can't find a reason, as the world turns to gray, it's killing me unwillingly and I am just the same as you.
You know, I've come to read a lot of stupid things over the years, but so far this has to take the cake. And generally, whenever Ubisoft releases a new title, they get some form of stupid, retarded criticism for it. Back in Assassin's Creed Syndicate, it was, you need to have female playable characters for the co-op, even though all the co-op characters are Arno Dorian. And then, that was Unity. And then in Syndicate, it was, this has a strong female character. Ubisoft, you're exploiting feminism now, okay? It just seems like every game somebody has to find some little non-issue and nitpick at it until it's something stupid. And that is what Dave Threer, who is a contributor for Forbes, has decided to do, apparently, because he believes The Division has you play as the bad guys, which I don't agree with, and I'm gonna get into I'm gonna dissect his thing in a few points, but first I just wanted to read for you what he has to say. You're constantly faced with a scenario in The Division. You're walking from point A to point B, and you see people in the street. They're trying to survive in a world without laws. They're marked red on your map. They're wearing hoodies. Oh my god, riders are wearing hoodies? No way! You mean like they're common people who decided to be stupid and do stupid stuff and now they're wearing hoodies? Oh, you can't have bad NPCs wear hoodies now, guys. Too many people have been shot by cops while wearing hoodies. That's a big no-no, Ubisoft, right? I'm just kidding. Anyway, maybe they shoot first, maybe they don't. If they did shoot first, they'd be more than justified. Really? Really? You've been murdering their friends for days. Well, I wouldn't really call it murdering as it is killing hostile combatants to, protect the non-hostile combatants of New York. You don't see any of the fucking New Yorkers running up to the rioters and going, "Oh, help me, Mr. Rioter! That Division agent is coming this way." No, they walk, the fucking people come up to the Division agents, or will run towards the Division agents from the rioters, not the other way around. And who's the people giving the Division or who's the people that are giving people medkits and soda and energy bars and stuff like that? Is it the rioters? Let me think about that. No, it's the Division agents. What do you know about that? For some bad guys, those Division agents are pretty nice some of the time. Anyway, moving on. So regardless, you do the only thing you know how. You kill them. It's nasty. It would be nasty at any point in history, but it's especially nasty now. Because, shooting enemies in a video game is nasty, apparently. No, you can't shoot enemies in a video game, guys. It's too serious for that kind of stuff, So, continuing, you, as an agent of the Division, are tasked with restoring order to New York City. But you only attempt to do so by a single tactic: murder. Well, let's see. So far in my... God only knows how many embarrassing amount of hours I've already sunk into this game, what I have done to restore the city of New York. I've rescued a team of doctors from Madison Square Garden that were being held by rioters, no way, and helped set up a clinic in the Strategic Homeland Division's base of operations, which any citizen who doesn't have a gun is free to walk into and be treated and stuff like that. I've built up that medical wing to where we can quarantine the sick people to prevent other people who aren't sick from getting sick. We've begun researching the virus. I've built up the security wing, so now JTF agents are going through the city helping fight off the rioters, Rikers, cleaners, and last man battalion. Let's see, what else have I done? I've given God only knows how many random citizens food, water, medkits, stuff like that. Most of the time for either clothing, which is pretty much nothing, or common gear that is completely useless to me. But I prevented the entire New York City power grid from overloading and going out. I destroyed a cleaner napalm facility, but there was killing enemies involved in all those missions, so I guess I shouldn't have done any of those things to protect the city of New York and the good citizens of what's left of the city of New York. Because killing is bad no matter the circumstance. Obviously, it's not like it's a video game or anything like that. Anyway, moving on. You are the representative of a shadowy government organization that's descended upon the island of Manhattan with constant brutal force. Well, I wouldn't say constant brutal force. You gotta remember, and you might not have paid attention to this because it doesn't seem like you paid attention to most of the story here. We are the second wave of Division agents, which means a much smaller first wave was already sent in, wasn't able to keep the island of Manhattan under control, and basically was either all wiped out, went rogue and working with the bad guys now, or have just gone completely missing. So I wouldn't say constant brutal force, because if it was brutal force, we would have wiped out everybody that was against us already in the first wave, but that didn't work. And I wouldn't even say constant brutal force. So many of the missions are, and so many of the side missions are, you have to go kill enemies, but you're killing enemies to rescue JTF agents or rescue people that one of these factions has as a hostage, or multiple people as hostages locked up in buildings and stuff. But there's killing, again, there's killing involved. You can't kill to save people, apparently, is what this guy appears to be getting at. So anyone who appears to pose a threat to your control, the control, it is a U.S. city. It is what's still attempted to be under the control of what's left of the United States government, which, unlike the Last Man Battalion or the Cleaners or the rioters, won't just shoot civilians, won't just scavenge the dead or burn people alive, or basically just go all super crazy like the Last Man Battalion has. But, obviously the Division agents are the bad guys here. He goes on to say, you're also trying to cure the virus, but it's clear that if you were to bring the city back to some kind of normalcy, it would be under a fascist regime. Where do you get this idea? Is it you just throwing around the whole fascist thing because Donald Trump's running for president? This seems like an likely scenario if he became president, so let's go and bring politics into video games because that always works so well. No, it doesn't. There is no indication that if order was restored to New York, that it would be under a fascist regime. You have you, the agent, you have Fei Lao, you have these three people who are in charge of these three different divisions of the main base of operations. So already, if order was to be restored to the point where government would be beginning to retake shape, you would already have people who would have a checks and balances system. Captain Benitez doesn't even really like the way the division operates. So right then and there, you have somebody keeping an eye on how you are and how you operate, because in a way, the division isn't a good thing. Directive 51 isn't necessarily a good thing. You're doing what you have to. You're doing what you have to do, and you're doing you're doing overall the right thing to save New York. But it does, in a way, kind of violate everything that the nation stands for. But even as a division agent, you can kind of realize that on your own, you're not meant to be the best option. The division or Directive 51 is the last option, meaning everything else has been tried and everything else failed. And you can see that throughout the city. You can see how all these quarantine zones were set up, and everything basically fell to shit. You are the last line of defense, basically. You're the last directive. If you fail, then it's just total anarchy. But I mean, maybe this guy wants total anarchy. Yeah, so that's kind of the feeling I get. But that's just me. So anyway, getting back to what he's saying, notice, for example, that people in the street seem to be terrified of you whether you're shooting at them or not. Well, I did some walking around the street and got some footage, and well, I walked up to a couple groups of people, and nobody was running away. Nobody was expressing any kind of fear. They were just kind of going on about their conversations. Now, it is true, when you first get there, the people seem kind of suspicious of you, and that's probably in part due to you're somebody that nobody recognizes. You're just walking up with a gun and stuff, and you're not really recognized in that area. And it also probably has to do to the fact that the first wave agents kind of just, the ones that survived anyway, kind of just went rogue and joined up with whoever. But then as time goes on, as you progress through the game, the people will start cheering you on. They won't be afraid of you or even cautious of you. And all throughout, really, you have the option to go help them with giving them various things and stuff. But as you can see, they don't run to any of the other factions for help. They don't run to any of them. Really the only time that the citizens will run away from you or be terrified is if A, you shoot around them, or B, you're walking near them and then a fight breaks out between you and some cleaners or whatever. That's really the only time that they're afraid of you, and even then, or afraid of what's going on, and even then I wouldn't say they're terrified of you. So anyway, he goes on to say, and why wouldn't they be? You're a heavily armed killer wandering in the lawless streets of a desperate New York. A heavily armed killer. So yeah, he's continuing to paint the division agents as basically just the bad guys. Nothing you do is good, nothing you do is right. You know, is your law, your order, that's obviously bad, you know. We don't need those things in this lawless New York where cleaners are burning people alive, where rioters are capturing people and holding them hostage and shooting random citizens and stuff like that. They're the good guys. Us, the division agents, are the bad guys, you know. We're at a moment, and then he goes on to bring even more political garbage into this. We're at a moment in America where we're becoming more and more aware of police brutality, profiling, and excessive force. One, division agents are not necessarily police. They're sleeper agents with military training or some form of background. As we've seen in the Agent Origins trailers, they could be police, they could be firefighters, they could be paramedics, they could just be random fucking people. They can be any sort of number of people in various positions of the economic sector or the government sector or whatever. Generally, they're not going to be any like high up politicians or anything like that from what we've seen. But you're basically just painting the division agents like, oh, they're cops, so they're doing the police brutality shit, blah blah blah. Now, profiling, I'm not sure where that comes into play in this, other than the fact that all the gangs or all the enemy groups in the game generally have the same appearance, but I mean, they're NPCs. How many fucking different forms of NPCs do you want? Notice none of them have their faces visible, so you can't see if they're white, black, Asian, Latino, or whatever. So I'm not really sure how you can profile them. Generally, you walk anywhere near them, they start shooting at you, and you shoot back. I'm not sure if that's what you mean by profiling. And excessive force. The vision takes place in basically the ruins of humanity. It's like complaining about using excessive force in Fallout, really. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous concept. Whether you're a police officer, whether you're a military, or even a division sleeper agent or whatever, you're trained to neutralize threats. You don't, and even if you're a citizen who has had personal defense training, they don't teach you to kneecap people or shoot for the shoulder or the leg or try and shoot their gun out of their hand or any of that Hollywood bullshit. You are trained, whatever firearms training you have, whether it's for personal defense or your line of work or whatever, you're trained to neutralize the target. Because even, and especially in a situation like this, why am I going to waste my health packs on people who are trying to kill me, who are trying to kill citizens, when I could be giving my health packs to the citizens who are trying to survive this hellish world that they're in? So anyway, it goes on. We're also at a moment where we're having one of the most serious flirtations with authoritarianism. And here's the division apparently in support of both. Please refer to my earlier points in the video. I'm not gonna fucking repeat myself here. But I knew you were gonna go as political as you could hear. There are some hints at this point of view within the game, echoes and recordings that paint police brutally in a different sort of light. Parts of the plot don't treat the JTF as pure good. No, they're not pure good. Nobody really is pure good. You just have really these factions who are trying to do the best good, but it's like saying just because there's a few good people, there might be a few potentially good rioters, doesn't mean that the majority of the rioters are good, or just because there's a potentially few bad eggs in the JTF doesn't mean all of the JTF is bad. But kudos for you. You actually paid attention for 5 seconds long enough to realize that some stupid shit had gone on. But one of the things you may also missed is there were several instances, several video recordings and stuff like that, where echoes and stuff, where cleaners were slaughtering people, rioters were slaughtering people, whether they were random people or they were cops or JTF or whatever. There was one of the videos early on in the game you collect where these that's a dash cam and a squad car, and you're watching it, and all of a sudden they're driving into this alley. All of a sudden, a police officer body falls off of a building onto the hood of the car. They realize they're cornered from behind, so they go to drive forward, and there's just this massive group of Rikers. I almost want to say army there because there were so many of them, and they don't give them the option to surrender or anything. They just slaughter the cops inside of the squad car, and that's the end of that. So I'm not really seeing where you think the division is in support of both of these. It seems to kind of struggle with the right and wrong of the things, because it's a very constant battle, and it's one that I think is agents flirting with this absolute power, or this potential absolute power. It would be interesting to see, like in some of the expansions, if maybe you have a point where you choose where maybe New York comes onto enough order where you can either have you have the option to set up a government or a democracy or a totalitarian government. I'm not saying that right. To kind of reflect maybe how you are as a person or whatever. Much like in many other games, you have the option of choice. The option of choice is something that should always be factored in to really games like this, in my opinion, or games in generally. That's always nice to have the option, and always have the option have an effect. Anyway, he goes on. One hopes that eventually the JTF will be treated just like another faction in the game, but I'm not sure how likely that is. But the majority of the JTF are patrolling, protecting the citizens of New York. Yes, I've seen the echoes where JTF will kill somebody, whether it was an accidental or on purpose or whatever, but that person didn't deserve to die, and that JTF officer obviously should have to face the consequences. But you're looking too much into a video game to try and make it reflect real world issues when it is a video game, when it has no real effect on the real world, and you're just trying to fucking drag more political garbage into gaming, just like every other fucking time Ubisoft has come under fire for something like this. So Anyway, I've gotten plenty of video footage for all this. I'll be showing various things, so hopefully you'll be paying attention to the video as well as me talking, because I did do a couple different things. I tried surrendering to the Rikers to see how they responded. They just opened fire immediately. I did the same thing with the rioters, and they opened fire immediately, so stuff like that. So it's interesting, and let me know what you guys think about this whole fucking thing in the comments section. I know this was kind of a ranty video, and I apologize for that, but I feel strongly about this, and that's why I made this video covering it. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. If you guys happen to have enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up button. If you guys didn't enjoy it, or you think I'm a fucking idiot or whatever, give it a thumbs down. I don't really care, but I like having feedback either way, so let me know any questions, comments, concerns, again, in the comment section below. Please be sure to share this video with your friends, your family, your fellow Division agents, your fellow gamers, people who are political, stuff like that. And I hope you guys have enjoyed. This has been Devin with Gaming in Progress, and I will see you guys in the next video. Stay safe out there, agents.